Hello and welcome to this tutorial on how to sew this beginner-friendly fanny pack. It has a hidden pocket in the back for storing your credit card, keeping it safe. Then you have this big pocket in the front for everything else. Lots of storage. The straps are adjustable and also detachable, which I find very practical. So, let's get started.
You can get the pattern via my website linked below. You need 30 cm of main and lining fabric and optionally interfacing to a 31 and 15 cm long zipper, 1.5 meter of 25 mm wide backstrap, 2 carabiners, 2 D-rings, and an adjustable strap slider. As a first step, I traced the pattern pieces onto my main fabric. Don't forget to mirror the side pieces and mark the notches. Now we can get started with cutting the pieces. I recommend using sturdy fabrics as main fabric, such as cork, oilskin, denim, canvas or similar fabrics. Here you can see all the pattern pieces, including the lining and the notions. Let's start with the back pocket. Pin one back pocket piece to the back piece. Sew along the rectangle. This will be the welt zipper opening. Cut it open in the middle. Cut diagonally into the corners without damaging the seams. Then, cut the pocket lining inside out through the opening you just cut and pin. You can also iron the fabric first. In my case, I used cork and I didn't want to damage the fabric. Now secure the lining in place by top stitching 5 mm from the edge. Put the zipper underneath the rectangular hole, pin it in place and top stitch it again. You can top stitch directly on the seam you just sewed before. I used a 20 cm zipper, so I'm trimming the ends. To finish the pocket, sew the other side of the lining to the back pocket. Be careful not to sew the main back piece when closing the back pocket. And this is what the finished pocket should look like. Next, pin the top and bottom pieces to the back piece by aligning the notches. Do the same for the lining pieces. After sewing both pieces, top stitch the seam for a clean finish. Repeat for main fabric. Take the front piece and pin the zipper right sides together to the top. Pin the lining with the right side facing the wrong side of the zipper. Sew all 3 layers together in one seam. Then top stitch the seam like this. Place the side pieces onto the front piece. It is important not to mix up the top and bottom. Do the same for the lining on the other side of the front piece. Pin and sew all 4 side pieces to the main and lining front pieces. Top stitch the seam after folding the side pieces over to the right side. Now we can pin the top piece to the front with a zipper. Pin the side pieces to the back piece at the extremities. And sew both together in one curved seam. Before reaching the zipper, slide it to the other side to be able to sew at 1 cm seam allowance all the way across the seam. Now we do the same for the lining, pinning and sewing it to the wrong side of the zipper. It can be hard to get the seam perfect, but as long as you're sewing all layers together, it will look good in the end. Top stitch the seam at the zipper after turning over the main and lining fabric. Now we have a functioning, fully lined zipper. Turn the bag inside out through the zipper and align the front and bottom the same way you did for the top and front. It is important to put the main fabrics and linings right sides together respectively. Then pin together all 4 layers. When sewing, make sure to sew all 4 layers except for a 7 cm gap in the lining for turning the bag inside out later. You can also rip the seam open to create the gap, but you will need to re-sew the main fabric pieces together. With the main part of the bag finished, we can move over to the strap. First of all, we need 2 pieces of approximately 6 cm to create loops for attaching the D-rings to the bag. Now we move on to the adjustable strap. Pass the strap through the slider like this, and don't forget to include a carabiner on the right side. Now we can sew the strap loops and adjustable strap closed. At this point, I sadly forgot to film that you also need to sew a carabiner to the other end of the adjustable strap. I prefer sewing 2 parallel seams to make them extra durable. Now we can insert the strap loops with the D-rings into the sides of the bag between the main fabric pieces. Pin them in place and sew the sides shut. Now we can turn the whole bag inside out through the gap we left in the lining earlier on in the bottom seam. If it gets too tricky, you can increase the size of the gap in the lining only. And a fanny pack is born. Fold the seam allowance inwards to hide the raw edge. For the slip stitch, sew 1 stitch on each side of the opening and gently pull the thread to close the gap, leaving an invisible seam.
The last step is to attach the straps to your fanny pack. And it's done! I also made another version in a darker color for my boyfriend. So you can see that you can mix and match lots of fabrics to create your own version. Make it matching to your clothes or as gifts for friends and family. So this is a very versatile project and it's very beginner friendly, so it's perfect if you want to get started with sewing. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, feel free to leave a like or a comment. Follow along my channel if you want to see more. Check out my Instagram for more inspiration on my sewing patterns. And thank you so much again, and see you in the next tutorial. Bye!